Good evening, everybody. Thank you once again for joining us on this week's edition of the Milford Informer. I am your host, Tim Coette. As always, we come to you from our Home Field Credit Union Studio B. Tonight on the show, we have several different stories that all have the common thread of Milford sports. Let's share everything we have coming up for you tonight in our top stories rundown. Tonight, hear from Milford High School baseball head coach Alex Dion as he reacts to being named as the new manager of the Futures League Worcester Bravehearts. Also tonight, see how Peter Boucher and members of the MHS athletic team showed their appreciation to the Board of Health for their contributions to the school's Leadership Academy. And later in sports, we'll share highlights from the football team's Week 3 matchup at North Attleboro, courtesy of our friends at North TV. There was a big announcement made over the weekend regarding current Milford High School baseball coach Alex Dion, as he was named the new manager of the Worcester Bravehearts. I had a chance to meet up with Coach Dion earlier this week to talk about his experiences with the Bravehearts as an assistant coach and what his expectations are now that he's set to take over managerial duties for the team. Baseball in the Worcester area has suddenly taken on a Milford flair. Milford legend J.P. Pine has been managing the Futures League Bravehearts since 2016, and this past summer a second Milford native was brought into the coaching ranks in current Scarlet Hawks baseball head coach Alex Dion.
That connection's actually pretty cool. It's obviously a Milford connection. So I met J.P. Pine through Mike Reed and Rich Pierre-Gustavo, who obviously Richie hired me here at the high school 7 years ago. And then we sort of just started to talk, me and J.P., through like the off season the year prior, and I went up and saw one of their early games in the spring of 2017. We just sort of talked throughout that summer, and then he called me about a year ago this month, and we had a long phone conversation, and JP ended up hiring me as his hitting coach. So the Milford connection is pretty unique, and it's been obviously it's another benefit of working here.
Having the opportunity to work alongside a baseball mind like J.P. Pine was an invaluable learning experience for the Milford baseball head coach.
For anyone who doesn't know JP, I know most people in Milford probably do, but he's just a tremendous baseball mind and a guy who really cares about his coaches and his players. And I think just to be able to sit in the office with him and stand next to him in the dugout for 56 games last summer was an unbelievable opportunity for me, and something that I'll never forget, and I'm very grateful for.
With Coach Pine now moving on to take over the baseball program at Amherst College, Coach Dion quickly became the choice to fill the managerial void for the Bravehearts.
JP got hired as the head coach at Amherst, kind of like right at the end of the season for the Bravehearts. So I knew that was, I knew he was going to be moving on, and JP and I had conversations throughout the summer too about my interest in managing in the Futures League. So, he knew my thoughts on it as soon as the season was done. And, our general manager, Dave Peterson, and the Creedon family kind of knew that JP was going to be moving on. I expressed interest to them in the position. And then, we sort of started that process, and they had me in to interview, and here we are.
With his new role as manager made official, Coach Dion must now turn his attention toward building the 2019 roster, which will feature college-aged players from not only the Massachusetts area, but across the nation.
It's all over the country, so we're obviously competing with other summer collegiate teams, and we got a couple really good ones up here in New England between the Cape Cod Baseball League and the NECBL. But we've had guys, last year we had a couple kids from California, from St. Mary's and from Chapman out there. We have good relationships with St. Leo's. We've had kids from Rollins the past couple of years. We had a few kids from Stetson down in Florida. And then we get a lot of local kids too. So we kind of prioritize getting kids who were born and raised in Central Mass or play at local colleges. So we have guys from Assumption every year. We'll get a guy from BC, from UConn. We have a Stonehill kid this year who played at Milford High School for the past 4 years, so that's going to be exciting for me. Basically, right when the season ended, we start reaching out to the players on our team who are eligible to come back and try to sign those guys as early as possible, and then it's really just reaching out to to as many college coaches as possible and kind of doing our homework on guys. So we're actually pretty far into that process right now. We'll leave some spots open for pitchers who will kind of fill in our arms sort of as the spring goes on, where we see what guys' roles are with their college teams. But our position players are pretty much all wrapped up at this point. We have 14 of them who are committed to playing for us next summer, and we can roster 35. So like I said, we'll leave some of those slots open for arms that we'll get in March and April.
Aside from the recruiting process, I asked Coach Dion what some of the major differences are between coaching kids at the high school level and managing the young men of the Futures League.
It's still baseball, but it's very, very different. I think in both situations, I have a great opportunity to be able to positively impact young adults. And obviously here at the high school, there's a lot more coaching involved in the springtime, and getting guys who aren't as far along in their careers and who maybe don't understand what they can and cannot do. It's really teaching them and helping them grow and learn the game. And you're also playing for, you're playing for your town and for your high school. And I think that's one of the best things about coaching high school baseball. When you go to the summer ball, and now I'm coaching a much different caliber player, and guys who are much further along in their careers and who understand themselves as players who just came off of a spring season playing either 60, 50, or 40 games, who all have aspirations to play at the professional level, and we're playing 56 games in 2 months. So for me in the summer and a lot of what I learned from JP is it's more about managing the relationship side of things and managing your pitching staff and figuring out when to give a guy a day off if he's played 15 in a row, and making sure guys are excited to come to the ballpark every day, where there's a little less emphasis on the coaching side of things.
Scarlet Hawks fans have no reason to fear. Coach Dion will continue to lead the Milford High School baseball program in the spring. Once the high school season ends, Coach Dion looks forward to keeping the Milford tradition alive and well, just 24 miles west in the city of Worcester.
It's a great opportunity. I'm definitely lucky to be able to manage with what I think is the best organization in the Futures League, from top to bottom, the owners, the general manager, the front office. It's just and we talked just before on camera, but having Anthony Mazzini there all summer, it's a great organization, and they do things. They just do things the right way. So for 5 years, they've given themselves an opportunity to win the championship every single year, and that's all I'm going to try to do is come in there and live up to that same standard that they've set.
As you know, Peter Boucher and the Milford High School athletic staff held their 4th annual Leadership Academy this past August. Each year the program has continued to grow and improve, thanks in large part to members of the Milford community who have donated their time or their money to help fund various parts of the academy. In particular, the Board of Health has funded the Leadership Academy's Project Adventure Day for the past 2 years, and last week Mr. Boucher, along with other members of the athletic team, visited the Board of Health to recognize the board's efforts.
We were really, really excited to come up and really just say thank you and show our gratitude to the Milford Department of Health. I know people might get tired of hearing me say this, but I have worked in 2 other high schools, for 20 years combined before my 5 years at Milford, and I can tell you that I didn't just think of these ideas when I got here. I've had these ideas about leadership academies and certain things that we're doing. The difference is the other towns just weren't able to find the people power or the finances or the combination or the hybrid of both. And I think what's special about Milford is we have certain people and certain companies who are willing to do just those 2 things. It's either, if you can convince people in this town that something is important for children, they'll do 1 or 2 things. They'll either get the people power or they'll get the finances. And the Department of Health this year swung in with, what we consider to be a significant amount of money for what's, our experiential learning, which we have to go off campus for because we don't have the facilities to do that in Milford yet. And I think, the captains would tell you that that was probably the most powerful day of programming that we have. And, I would say that over the past 4 years of really building this program from the ground up, we now have businesses, we have colleges, we have other high schools basically asking, can we visit you while you do it, or what do we need to pay you to bring this to our town, to our business, to work on leadership skills. And that's not why we did this. We did this for Milford kids. So we just really wanted to show up and let the Department of Health know that they're part of our team with the hats and the T-shirts, and just say, hey, you know, you are part of our team. You're part of what we're doing, and we appreciate, you know, you putting forth the money and the people power, and, you know, we want you to feel like you're part of the red and white team. And I think you could tell they appreciated it, so I feel good about that. It was important. It's important to give back to those people that are helping and supporting us.
Obviously, you know, a lot of this can't happen without the help that, you know, everybody in town has given us for this. You know, like Boucher says all the time, you know, we have the people power, we have the finances, the people and the people that help us do it. You know, we really couldn't do it without them. You know, he says all the time, you know, if it's something that people really care about, I think it's going to benefit, you know, me or, you know, my colleagues as a, you know, as an individual and as a growing student and, you know, active member of society. Then they'll do it. And so I feel like this has been beneficial for me, and not only me, but me and also my classmates and teammates too.
When I came on board 5 years ago, the first year, I really felt like we needed to work on our leadership skills. We weren't seeing the skills that we wanted, and we decided, you know, we looked around and there really wasn't anything out there. So myself and a couple of the coaches decided, well, if we can't find it, we're going to build it. We'll forge it ourselves. And the going joke was 100 hours later, we were ready to launch our first 2-day Leadership Academy. And since then, we've sort of revamped it. This year, Andrew Manini, Emily Laurie, Anthony Vazakis were super helpful. Jay Mastay, who doesn't even coach with us anymore, was so locked in from what he did the past couple of years that he was presenting. I think people just fall in love with it because it's really important, and you see the impact with the kids. So it's, you know, I might have come up with the idea a couple of years ago, but there's been a lot of people who have jumped on and supported throughout the year. I mean, the boosters, for example, they pay for our food, and the Gridiron Club 3 days. That's $1,500. You know, that's not a drop in the bucket where I come from. So it's truly a team effort.
The best part for us is the day that we don't have to sit in the auditorium and just, you know, hang around. You know, it was a great time to go to the YMCA over in, usually we go to Franklin, but this time we ended up changing plans. We went to North Attleboro. It was a great time on the ropes course. It's a lot of hands-on activity. It's a lot of teamwork. It gets everybody together. It gets everybody laughing and having a good time. So it really, you know, brings everybody closer together because everybody's working together. So it was a great time.
We feel like 3 days is enough. We have an academic day. Then we have our experiential, which is them, you know, 30, 40 feet up in the air trying to problem solve together under under duress and stress, which is, you know, in a locker room, in a game-like situation. It's a simulation. And then we have another academic day. So we think we've kind of mastered it with 3 days, but it's so critical that we are able to continue funding that experiential learning day where we have to go off campus and really pay for that type of programming.
Last month, we were joined by a pair of Milford High School hospitality and tourism management students who provided the details on the upcoming Stacy Middle School Color Run. The Color Run is set to take place next weekend, so in case you missed it the first time around, here are all of the details for the event.
Hi, I'm Christelle Prado.
And I'm Clayton Pickett.
And we're Hospitality and Tourism Management from the Milford High School.
And today we're here to talk to you about Stacy Middle School's 4th annual Color Run.
Usually when we're at HTM2, part of the first year program, you volunteer. You don't get to plan the event. This year we're HTM2, so we're planning the event. But last year, we volunteered, all who could volunteer HTM1. And I was part of the fun run, which is the 5K kind of for kids. And I just led that, threw paint at them, and it was super fun.
We've done so much to plan for this Color Run. We've personally drove around to hand out sponsorship packets to different businesses to have them fund the Color Run, as also they get their logo on the back of the t-shirt that you can get when you sign up before September 19th. We went to Stacy and we handed out a bunch of flyers to all different grades.
The flyers which we made.
Yeah, we did make the flyers.
So we do all the marketing, getting all the money for fundraising for the Color Run.
We did all the graphic designing on the flyers and stuff.
The planning, organizing each detail, the date on which it's going to be hosted.
So we'll hope you'll join us on Saturday, October 13th. Registration starts at 8 o'clock. And at 9 o'clock, it's a fun run for ages 9 and under, and the real 5K race starts at 9:30.
Registration is available online, so follow the link on your screen. You can register up until October 11th, and if you register by September 19th, you will get a free t-shirt. As HTM2, not only did we plan the event, but we also designed the t-shirts that we will be giving to the registered people.
Yep, and we purposely made them white, so when you run through the race and you're getting splashed, but with color and all that and having fun, that you come out and you can have a t-shirt that not only looks cool, but you can keep. It kind of comes out as like
color.
like a tie-dye type
yeah,
deal.
It'll come out to be like tie-dye.
Yeah, so it's a really cool t-shirt in the end. You come out a completely different person. The money that we get from sponsorships and registration helps student programs at Stacy and helps fund the color run itself. We hope you can join us for the 4th annual Stacy Middle School Color Run
on October 13th.
The loss to Canton in Week 3 was the most painful loss to date for the Milford High School football team. Now standing at 0-3, the team traveled to North Attleboro High School in Week 4, hoping to finally get their season on track. We were fortunate to obtain footage of the game thanks to our friends at North TV, so here are the full Week 4 highlights. It was a tale of two very different offenses as Milford and North Attleboro met up in Week 4 of the high school football season. Milford entered into the game having scored just 19 total points through their first 3 weeks of the season, while North Attleboro was fresh off of a 42-point blowout win against Sharon in Week 3. For the 4th straight week, Milford would start out the game on offense. Facing third down, Colby Perez would target Brendan White over the middle. The pass would be incomplete, but North would be called for pass interference to allow the drive to continue at midfield. But that's where Milford's offensive woes would come to the surface once again, and Milford would fail to convert another first down. North, meanwhile, would have no trouble getting their offense jump-started. Just 4 plays into the opening drive, watches North running back Ryan Boyle bursts up the middle, breaking free for what would be a huge 39-yard gain before finally being brought down at the Milford 22. North would cap off the drive a few plays later with their quarterback Nick Ranieri walking into the end zone for the score. Milford would get a great kick return out of Chappelle Feaster to set up starting field position at the 45 on their next drive. Then on the very first play from scrimmage, we'd see Luke Rosa take the handoff up the middle. He'd fight his way to midfield, but the junior would lose control of the football right at the end of the play, and the Rocketeers were there to recover. North would make the turnover hurt as they'd travel down the field before Ranieri would find Ethan Freiberg in the back of the end zone for an 11-yard touchdown pass, doubling the Rocketeers' lead. Things would quiet down through much of the second quarter, but eventually with less than 2 minutes to go, Milford's defense would be victimized by another big play. This time it was Ranieri finding fellow senior Ryan Gallmond on a 39-yard touchdown pass. It would be the final scoring play of the half, allowing North Attleboro to head to the locker room up 21-0. Milford was desperate to change the narrative of their season as they returned to the field for the second half, but North Attleboro had other ideas as their offense took the field to start the third quarter.
Takes over at right about the 20-yard line. The give off the left side to McHugh, cuts up the middle, stiff arms one man. He's got open space, and he's going to go the way. This looks like an 80-yard touchdown run for Brendan McHugh, and he picks up his first touchdown of the game. He had 2 called back in to start the third quarter. The home run shot gives North the 27-0 lead.
With the game starting to feel out of reach, Milford would refuse to quit, and on their next possession, the offense would respond.
Second down and long. Straight drop. Steps into the throw, looking for Feaster, and Feaster makes the catch at the 30, breaks a tackle, tiptoes down the sideline, and he'll walk into the end zone for the first touchdown of the game for the Scarlet Hawks. A 54-yard touchdown pass from Colby Pyers to Chappelle Feaster.
After the two sides played scoreless football over the remainder of the third quarter, North would find the end zone again on the first play of the fourth, with Brendan McHugh notching a second rushing touchdown of the game to make it 35-7. Despite the large deficit, the Hawks would have a few more big plays in them before the fourth quarter clock ran out.
Pyers out of the gun. Looking down the seam, this is Feaster. He's open in front of Engler, turning on the afterburners, and he's got another touchdown catch And he's pretty close to 100 total yards of receiving. That one went 43 yards. And 2 touchdowns for Chappelle Feaster. Pyers looking to the left side of the field, looking over the middle, has Lehane. Lehane behind the defense. He'll grab this one and sprint into the end zone. 58-yard touchdown pass for Pyers to Lehane.
The passing game would find its form, but it would be too late for Milford to complete a comeback. They lose their 4th straight game as they fall to North Attleboro by a final score of 42-21. Tonight, Milford returns home for their final game at Milford High School before the playoffs are decided. It is homecoming night for the Scarlet Hawks, and the school also plans to honor the undefeated 1983 Super Bowl championship team at halftime. If you are joining us on our original airtime on Friday night, you can check out live streaming coverage of the game by heading to milfordtv.net or the live stream app on your mobile device. We also had the chance to cover a great rivalry matchup in girls volleyball earlier today, as Milford hosted the first-place Canton Lady Bulldogs. You'll be able to watch the match in its entirety by early next week on YouTube, and we'll share highlights here on The Informer next Friday. And we were also present for girls soccer action this past week, as the Lady Hawks hosted the Oliver Ames Lady Tigers. Milford had to battle the elements as well as a very dangerous Tigers offense. OA's senior captain Gabrielle McLaughlin would open the scoring just over 6 minutes in as she heads it in off the corner kick. McLaughlin would score 2 goals in the match, and Oliver Ames would end up scoring 4 goals off corner kicks in total. Milford would get on the scoreboard in the final seconds of the first half thanks to the first goal of the season by senior captain Cassie Probert. It would be the only score of the day for the Lady Hawks as they would go on to lose to Oliver Ames by a final of 5-1. And a quick note on the boys soccer team, it was a very successful week on the road for the Hawks. On Monday, the team earned a dominating 5-0 victory over Oliver Ames. It was the first win for Milford against the Tigers since the 2 teams became league rivals. Oliver Ames had won the previous 10 consecutive matchups. The boys kept that momentum going in Canton on Thursday. The Scarlet Hawks edged out the first-place Bulldogs by a final of 2-1. Wallison de Oliveira and João Vitor Nieva provided the offense as Milford pulled into a tie atop the Davenport standings with the win. We will keep an eye on the boys soccer team next week, and we'll bring you all of the latest here on The Informer next Friday. And now let's get to this week's upcoming events. Coming up on October 12th, the Blackstone Valley Art Association will be hosting its 61st fall show. The show gives attendees a chance to meet and greet with artists, view creative works, and enjoy a glass of wine and other refreshments. A variety of artist-created items will be on sale, and there will also be free supplies, inspiration, and ideas to help budding artists get started. The BVAA Fall Show will take place on Friday, October 12th at Alternatives Gallery located at 5 South Main Street in Uxbridge from 5 to 7 p.m. For more information, you can visit the website bvaa.org or search for the BVAA on Facebook. On October 13th, you can join the Sacred Heart Women's Club for their 11th annual Fall Fair. The Fall Fair will feature a rummage sale, a bake sale, raffles, and refreshments. The Fall Fair is taking place on Saturday, October 13th at the Sacred Heart Bell Tower Room and Parish Hall from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. All proceeds from the event will go towards projects at Sacred Heart Church. And here's a heads up that on October 27th, you can celebrate Halloween at Milford's Pumpkin Stroll. Residents are urged to carve a jack-o'-lantern and drop it off to be used as part of the display. Gift cards will be awarded to the pumpkins judged scariest, funniest, and most creative. If you carve a pumpkin, please plan to arrive between 4:30 and 5:30 on the day of the stroll for drop-off. Milford's Pumpkin Stroll is taking place on Saturday, October 27th at Plains Park from 6 to 7:30 p.m. All attendees are encouraged to show up in Halloween costumes, and please bring a non-perishable food item to drop off in the collection bin to help local food pantries. For more information on the event, you can contact Mike Shane at 508-330-8487. That is all we have for you this week. We hope everyone enjoys the holiday weekend, and of course, good luck to the Red Sox as they open up play in the ALDS against the Yankees. From all of us here at Milford TV, this is Tim Coet saying have a great week. So long, everybody.